Just pick the 3 things that make you the most money, and then you block off an hour in a week for each of those 3 things. So I'm asking you to only be intentional for 3 hours. And during that hour, don't let anything interrupt you. Don't let anything get in your way. Focus on that one thing for that hour. Give it 60 minutes of your undivided attention, because then you'll start to develop momentum. And as you develop momentum, you'll develop habits. Habits are a product of momentum, and people don't realize that. We don't just fall into a habit. We had to consistently do that for it to become a habit, which means it had to pick up momentum. Being lazy picks up momentum. Being a good worker picks up momentum. So I'm trying to teach you how to get momentum first, which is block off the time, pick your 3 things, work those 3 things consistently, pick up the momentum, and they'll become a habit.
All right, welcome back today. I got a super special guest. Dr. Billy Williams is in the house. Dude, I've heard so much about you. I've heard more about you than you could have ever heard about me, and I've been following you for years. Dude, congrats on all the success, and thanks for being on today.
Thank you, Cody. I'm honored to be here. I'm honored to be here. And you're, I follow you just as much as you follow me. I promise you. I love people that are doing amazing things in our industry, and you're doing amazing things.
Well, thank you, buddy. It's fun. It ain't always easy, but dude, anything that's worth it never is, right?
Right.
Yeah. I love what you're doing. Somebody mentioned you've invested and helped over 100 agencies in the space. I'd kind of love to jump in and start there, just to really get some attention out of the gate. Walk through that and what do you do there, and what have you accomplished there? Because it was pretty impressive. It was a big number.
Okay. Well, what I do is I invest. We own Williams Family Investment Group. And so we invest in insurance agencies. When I first came in the industry back in 2003, 2004, when I retired from the Army, there really was no investment arm. Everyone was acquiring agencies, kind of like what they are today. They're going around and they're acquiring agencies, right?
Yes.
But what I realized was that most agents really weren't ready to walk away from their agency. They just didn't know how to run their agency. Okay. And if you eliminated a lot of the things that really caused them to dislike running an agency, they were great salespeople. They were great insurance people. They just sucked at being business owners.
Mm-hmm.
And so I realized that with my expertise through the military, my leadership, and just learning this industry, that I could come in almost like a board member and say, look, here's what we know is working in the industry. Here's what we want to put in place. Here are the things that I can do and my team can do that eliminate your stress, which is really hiring, training, and accountability. Those are the 3 things that agents suck at, right? They suck at hiring, training, and accountability. And so that's our strength. So when we walked into there as a board member, as an investor, 5%, 10%, 15%, and we eliminated that, the agencies took off. And so at this point, we're probably 1.3 billion in premium under management between 160 something agencies that we invest in. But I also have a mentoring arm that works with agencies that aren't ready for an investor or don't want an investor, but they still want our leadership. They want our input. They want that board member, right? Yes. That comes in and gives that guidance. And so we have a mentoring arm that works with, I don't know, so many thousands of agents or whatever over the course of a year. And so I would say if I had to just put a number on it, we probably influence close to $10 billion a year in insurance premiums. And I say influence, not own. We influence $10 billion a year in insurance premium.
Did you ever dream that would be your life a few years? Now,
what's so crazy, Cody? This was a plan. This wasn't something that fell into place. I know most people get into insurance because they had nothing else to do. My dad did it. This is what I did. It was a plan for me. When I retired from the Army, I already had a PhD in finance. And when I looked at the industries that I could go into and really maximize, insurance was a no-brainer to me. Let me get this straight. They pay you every year or every 6 months or whatever. You talk to them maybe once or twice a year, and your whole purpose is to offer the coverage that best protects their quality of life should they ever have to file a claim. So I have a noble profession that makes lots of money, protects people, and I don't have an immense amount of work unless I get into something like trucking or something like that. I don't have an immense amount of work to do, and I can really help my community. It was a no-brainer for me. So I didn't
Cool.
stumble into insurance. It was a plan. So yes, to answer your question, I did expect to be where I am today.
That's awesome. You know what's funny is now that you mentioned that, thank you for your service, by the way. I really
Thank you.
appreciate that. Huge respect for military. I was just talking to another gentleman that his agency did 11 million in life insurance premium last month, and we were hanging
Okay.
out for a couple days. His name's John, and I asked him a question. I asked him a question for a reason. I said, maybe you didn't expect yourself to be as successful as you are today, but did you always feel like when you grew up you would be successful? And he said, I did.
Yeah.
Well, I did too, you know? So I'm learning that a lot of people that end up being successful, maybe, they maybe they went to school of hard knocks and it was difficult, whatever, but they always deep down knew, I'm going to be a success one day. I'm going to do
Yes.
this, do that. Is that true for you?
Absolutely. There's this psychological lesson, I guess. It's called loss aversion, right?
Mm,
Loss aversion is people are afraid to lose what they already have more than they are excited about gaining something that they never had.
yes.
I didn't grow up poor. Okay. I didn't. From the time I
I did.
was a child, my grandfather, even though we were minorities, my grandfather owned um, laundromats, and he owned a cleaning service, and he owned all these other kind of things, right? My mom owned hairdressing shops. My dad, even though he was military, because my dad's 35 years military, he had
Wow.
side businesses that he operated. And so I grew up believing that I was going to be a business owner. I grew up
Yeah.
believing in success. I carried that through high school. I was very successful in high school. I went to University of Southern California on a tennis scholarship. I graduated magna cum laude.
Wow.
I went in the military. I was soldier of the year 2 or 3 years. I was recruiter of the year. So I've got trophies. I mean, I played golf. you know,
What?
yeah, I played golf. So I expect everything that I do in life
I
that
love it.
I'm going to be successful at it. And the key is not just a mentality, it's a
Yeah.
work ethic. Because I know I'm going to be successful, I'm going to find the most successful path to get
Mm,
there. I'm going to watch and learn and listen and say, what is it that other successful people are doing? Because here's the deal, Cody. People
yes.
can replicate success better than they can create success.
Yeah.
Okay. So I look at people like you, I look at people like, you name it, Warren Buffett or anybody. I look at
Yes.
those successful people and I go, what are they doing that I can replicate?
Yes.
And that's what most people don't do. They sit up and try to create stuff. I ain't creating
Mhm.
shit. I'm going to replicate what I see other people doing.
Dude, I love you already. I love you. This dude is this dude not good or is he good, man? This is awesome. I love that, I mean, we put me and Warren Buffett in the same sentence, which may never happen again, but that was cool too. I love that. Um, Man, what you've accomplished is really incredible. I love that you deep down like expect to win. You
Yes.
expect to be successful. Now, whether it's tennis racket, whether it's a driver, a putter, like it doesn't matter. Like I expect to win, and I love that. Like, why do anything if you don't expect to win? Was that something you gained from your parents?
Yes.
Where's that come
It's
from?
it's yes, it's all nature and nurture. Yeah, my parents expected me to win, and they put pressure on me, and they held me to a standard. Now I didn't always like the standard, but they held me to a standard. And that's the same thing we do in our agencies. Whenever we step into an insurance agency, because I always want to bring this back to insurance, right?
Yes.
When we step into an insurance agency, the first thing that we do is we put in standards. So I live by this model. You and I talked about this. I live by this model called S4TS, right? S, four T's, and then S. The first S is standards.
Mm,
So we're going to have a standard for everything in that agency. We're going to have a standard for what we offer customers. We're going to have a standard for your actions. We're going to have a standard for your reactions. We're going to have a standard for our email templates, for our text templates, for our automation. We're going to have a standard for everything, right?
mm,
Then we're going to have four T's. The first T is time, because if you don't make the time to be successful, then all of your time is spent fighting off poverty. Okay.
Yes.
So we're going to block off the time for you to be successful. The next T are the task. I'm going to give you the actual task that you need to do to be successful. The next T is tools. I'm going to make sure you understand what tools you need and how to use those tools. Not just learn a tool, but what buttons should you push in that tool to be successful, right? And then we're going to have training. The fourth T is training. I'm going to train you on time management. I'm going to train you on the task you need to do. I'm going to train you on the tools that you need to do. And then the final S is spot check. Because if I'm going to train you, I'm going to spot check you to make sure that you're retaining what I train you. So everything we do is S4TS. And if agents would just adopt that, their agencies would go 20, 30, 40% above where they are right now.
Wow. That's strong. I love that there's so much structure in the way you talk. You're very, with the limited time we've spent together, and I appreciate you coming to 8%, by the way, because you
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. It was cool to get to see you and meet you. You were very intentional in everything you're doing, like super intentional. A lot of people just float through life. You're
Right.
intentional about winning. You're intentional about helping agencies. You're intentional. And are you looking for people, like when you're investing in agencies, are you looking for people that are already intentional too, or can you
No.
help them become more?
No. If someone is already like me, they don't need me.
Yeah.
Okay. They don't need me, right? They may need to, like you and I will need to associate with each other
Yes.
and get ideas, but you don't need me, right? I want to work with agencies that need what I bring to the table. So no, I don't look for intentional. What I look for is very simple. I look for gratitude. Okay. Can you be grateful for what I'm bringing to the table? You don't have to be smart. You don't have to be disciplined. You don't have to be educated. But if you're grateful, then that gratitude that you have will allow you to work beyond all of your limitations. See, most people are not successful because they're not grateful for the opportunities that they're given or the position that they're in. But gratitude overcomes everything.
Yeah. You can't help somebody with a big ego thinks they know it all and then think Dr. Billy Williams can help take them to another level.
Exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
That's strong. That's strong. What are the most successful agencies doing that you've learned versus the others? Because there's what, hundreds of thousands of insurance agencies in the country, and you've worked with, well, at least tens of thousands by now, which is great.
You just like you. I mean, we influence and they listen to our podcasts and videos or whatever. So what are they doing? Everything they're doing is structure. It's all about structure. And structure falls in two categories, okay? You're either going to have people structure or you're going to have process structure.
Yeah.
So some agencies will hire a bunch of people and they get enough people together, they're going to get a nucleus of people that will make the agency better.
Yes.
And then some people are process structured, which is I'm going to put processes in place and then I'll put people in those processes. I'm process structured. My processes have to be stronger than my people. Okay. Because I can always find people to work my processes. But if I build everything on my people without having processes, then as soon as that person leaves, my processes go to hell. We've seen agencies where one person left and the agency basically became nothing because Sarah did everything. Joe did everything.
Yes.
Susie was my girl, and now all of a sudden Susie got hired away and now the agency goes to hell in a handbasket.
Yes.
I don't want that. I want my processes to be stronger than my people. And that's my mantra I live by. My processes have to be stronger than my people. If my processes are strong, I can always find people to fit in my process. And that's why the US military is the best military in the world today, because we can take anybody from the fields of Iowa or the beaches of California or the backwoods of wherever and bring them into our process, into our structure, and form them into the best fighting force in the world. So my mentality was, why can't I do that with an insurance agency?
Yes. Yes. That a lot of people do. You've probably seen it. A lot of people do it backwards. They look for people to improve their process. Like, man, if I get him or her, they're going to fix everything that's wrong with my company.
Right.
I
Right.
mean,
And
because
I'm
it
not saying it's backwards. I don't want to call it backwards. I just call it a different route, but it's a
okay,
route that's not sustainable long term
yeah,
because at some point that person's going to leave. That person's going to
100%.
change. That person's going to do something. You know, they may get married, they may get
Yeah,
pregnant, they may get sick, they may do who knows.
true,
You know what I mean? But
true.
now you're stuck because you don't have processes
Yes,
because
yes.
Judy did everything. And I can always tell when I'm interviewing an agent and I go, "Hey, how do you do this in your agency? Hey, Barbara, come here for a second. You know, how do you do this in your agency? Hey, Dave, come in for a second." Okay. And even if you don't know how to do it, you should be able to say, well, hold on, let me go to my manual. Let me go to my job aid. Let me pull up our process. You know, I don't do it. I don't do it, but hell, I can show you where it's written down. So
Yeah.
if you can't do that for me, then you literally have no grip on your business.
Mm. Takes a lot of guesswork out.
Yep.
That's good. There's a lot of I've noticed it. There's so many six-figure earners that are business owners that run an agency that literally do everything in their company.
Mhm.
And have you seen those that can really get out of the way and have the right processes and add the right people, even have an assistant, even start to have other people selling other than them. They're doing all
Mhm.
the service, all the sales, et cetera, et cetera. That's the time they can really scale. Have you noticed that around the country as well?
Oh yeah, they can't scale without it because at some point you're going to run out of you, right?
Yeah, it goes back to
You're going to
your
run out of
time.
you,
Yeah, yeah,
right? And so when that happens, when you run out of time, when you run out of ability, when you run out of, just the fact that you can do everything, the only way you can continue to grow is to replicate you, right? To bring you in. And another issue that agents have is they're so busy trying to be the head of the organization and they want the shingle to have their name or whatever that they don't hire people that can move their agency. They hire people who are their glorified secretaries,
mm,
right? And so they've got four people working with them, but those four people literally can't do anything on their own because everything has to flow through the agency. Everything has to flow through the agent, right? Whoever that agent is. Oh no, I got to check that and I got to look at this and I got to look. No, I don't want that.
yeah,
I want to be able to go in and spot check what you're doing and then be able to train, and do all those things that'll make you better. But I want to give you that ability to operate independent of me, but within my processes.
yes, yes. With those agencies, what's the best agencies that you've seen for you to help? Like, what are you really looking for out there outside of just gratitude?
Well, when you say help, I have two different legs here. So
Yep.
I have agencies I invest in, and then I have agencies I mentor. In order
Yes.
for me to invest in an agency at this point,
Yeah.
you got to have 10 million in premium or up. Okay. 10 million in premium or up because you don't make enough money with less than 10 million to really bring me in as an investor,
Mm,
right? Because every quarter I want my dividend check.
yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you're busy trying to pay the bills and trying to do this, and I'm like, okay, where's my 15%? After we zero out this quarter, so you don't make enough money for me to invest in if you have less than 10 million in premium. But if you just need help, hell, you can come to inspirenation.org, right? I didn't name my company Williams Investment or something consultant.
Yeah.
It's called inspireanation.org because I
I
feel
like
like
that.
that's my personality is to inspire people, not just motivate people. Motivation is temporary.
Yes.
Inspiration comes from within. So
Mm,
my job is to change you internally and inspire you to move forward in what you do. So they can go to inspirenation.org and just look at our resources and what we have out there. And we can help pretty much anybody that wants help.
yep.
Right now, if you want an excuse for failure, we can't help you. And there are a lot
Mm,
of agents, and you know this, Cody, they want an excuse to say, I tried everything and nothing worked.
yes. Yeah.
Okay. We're not that organization.
That's good. And do you have can you think of like a case study of like, okay, let me give someone an example of an agency that here was what it looked like before we got involved, well, investing or mentoring, either way.
Mhm.
And here's where they are today based on that. We can't take full credit, but hey, we did play a role.
I didn't get permission to use any agent's name.
Okay.
Okay, so maybe on our next podcast, if you ask
Okay.
me that
That's good.
question, I'll have a list and say, hey, here's what we
There we
do.
go.
But here's what I'll tell you. Go out to our Google review page. That's the easiest way to find out. Go out and just
Good.
search Inspire Nation Business Mentoring or search go out on LinkedIn or wherever and look at the reviews, because in those reviews, they actually put their agency name and they put what they
Mm,
do and they put who they are and all those kind of things. So that's probably the easiest way to find out the agencies that we're working with without me breaking our non-disclosure, all that kind of stuff.
sure.
Um, but I mean, we've taken agencies from literally a one-person shop to 10, 15, 20, 30, 40 employees, 50 employees. I've taken agencies from $1 million in premium to $30 million in premium. You know what I mean? And again, if you're like, well, yeah, this guy's just talking trash, go out to our Google reviews, go out on LinkedIn and, look at our reviews on LinkedIn and look at the name of the agencies that you see there. And you're
Mm,
going to see some of the big boys in our industry.
that's awesome.
So,
That's some life-changing math. That's some life-changing numbers.
yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
that's
And
impressive.
so, but it's easy. Here's the thing, Cody. Going back to kids, I'm gonna go back to kids. I can tell by the time a child is 4, 5, 6 years old if they're going to be good at a sport, right?
Mm,
And the reason why is because they just get it. So think about a child that plays soccer.
okay.
Some kids, they're fumbling, they're bumbling, they're stumbling, they're tripping, they're falling. And then some kids are moving smooth and they're getting it and they're out thinking what the coach is telling them because they're already in position. They can see, oh, that ball is over there and that kid's going to kick it that way. Let me move over here and get that right. Some people just have that knack. You know what I mean? They have it for business, they have it for sports, they have it for singing, they have it for dancing, they have it for whatever that they do. So I can literally tell by being in an agency for 10 minutes whether that agency has the people, the tools, and the mentality to be successful. And I'm sure you can too. You know what I mean? It's just
Yeah.
something that we know because it's natural to us and it's easy for us. We literally can walk in and go, I can do something with this agency,
Yes.
or I can't do something with this agency. So I'll give you an example. I have an agency right now that I'm working with. The agent is a control freak, an absolute control freak, right? But the people around him are amazing. I mean, they are amazing. And so the first thing I had to tell the agent was, look, I need you to go on vacation for a couple of weeks, right? You get the hell out the way so that I can make those amazing people more independent of you. I can bring out the mentality. I can bring out that movement because they can see it, but you're the one that's stopping them. So I
Mm,
always say I can pretty much grow any agency if I can get the agent the hell out the way for a few minutes and let their people shine, or let their people show that they're not there, that you have the wrong people.
wow. That's phenomenal. I was wondering, he's like, how's he gonna play this? What's he gonna do? Dude, go on vacation for 2 weeks. Get the heck out of here, man. That's
Yep.
that's that's phenomenal advice. I mean, that's great.
Because usually
Uh,
it's the agent that's holding their own agency back, to be honest with you. It's
yes,
the agent.
yes, yes. I mean, I can remember so many times, dude. I was literally holding everything back. The train's moving, and I'm in the back, holding on to the caboose, and I'm just getting drug. you know.
Yep.
Um, I would love to talk through for a few minutes like what you do like day to day, like
Hmm.
at your level now with everything you got going on. This question's for me and anybody else that's like, dude, I want to be, at this dude's level one day. Um, what does that look like? What's your day to day look like?
I wake up in the morning. First thing I have is quiet time. Quiet time for me is usually prayer, reading,
Okay.
something like that. Definitely prayer, always prayer every day. But
Awesome.
then there's always my reading time, which is like 15, 20, 30 minutes sometimes, depends on what I do. And then everything I do is scheduled, right? Remember, time is one of those T's.
Yes.
So just like you and I, when we were setting up this podcast, it wasn't a, hey, Billy, what are you doing Tuesday? It was, hey, Cody, let me shoot my link over to your assistant so that your assistant can find what I have available on my schedule. So
Yes.
everything I do is blocked off. I have a family calendar, I have a work calendar, all those different things. I have a golf calendar, activity calendar, all those different calendars.
Wow.
And so those things are blocked off. So I can tell you a week in advance what's going to happen today, what my priorities are today. That's the first thing is I control my time.
Mm.
Then within that time, I'd look at my high revenue task. So whatever makes me the most money comes first. Okay. Whatever makes me the most money comes first. So we're having this podcast at 10 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday, right?
Yes.
At 7 o'clock this morning, I had already met with one of my partner agencies. At 8:30 this morning, I'd already met with a vendor that wants us to sponsor within their whatever event they got coming up. At 9:30, I met with a group that wants me to potentially be on their board,
Mm.
right? Because those are all things that make me money. And then at 10 o'clock, I met with you. Because let's be honest, I'm going to get members off this podcast, right?
Correct.
You're going to get members off this podcast. People are going to hear us and go, these two guys know what the hell they're talking about. I'm either going to go and see what Billy's doing, or I'm going to go and see what Cody's doing, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to get members off this. So this is money making for us, right?
Yes.
When I finish this, I have to go in and look at reports. Today is my day that there are 10 specific agencies that send me their weekly report on a Thursday. So I'm going to go in and look at their reports. And the things that I'm looking for is, number one, I'm looking for premium increase, right? Or revenue increase, depending on what they were. Were they captive? Were they independent? Whatever they were. I'm looking at that. And then I'm looking at my revenue per sale, because the revenue per sale tells me whether this was a sold on premium, sold on price, sold on, what was this sold on? So if I'm looking at one agency and they sold, let's say $500,000 in premium, and it took them 50 sales to do it. Okay. And then I look at another agency and they sold $200,000 in premium, but it only took them 3 sales to do it.
Mm.
Well, I'm going to sit down and go, okay, this agency gave me a much higher revenue per sale. So therefore, I want to know who sold this policy.
Gosh.
And then I'm going to look at that producer, because that producer to me is somebody I want to meet, someone I want to know, I want to talk to. How are you able to close a $50,000 premium deal where these guys over here are only closing a $5,000 premium deal?
Yes.
So revenue per production is really, really good for me. And then I'll just look at other things like activities, all those kind of things within the reports. But I'm looking at those reports. So that'll be about 2.5, 3 hours of just looking at reports. And then I have a training session with my assistant to go over whatever it was we had scheduled to train on today. And then at 4 o'clock, I'm going to go play golf. So
nice. Dude, you're winning championships. You're one heck of a golfer. Remind me not to play.
I'm doing well. Either that or the other people around me sucked. So
yeah, I'm sure there's. Yeah, no, I don't think that's it.
So sometimes it's your competition, Cody. Sometimes it is your competition.
Well, you play me in golf, dude. It is your competition then, because you're cleaning house. Remind me not to bet on our golf game together. Okay. That's good. Here's one thing. I mean, what I'm hearing a lot for those that are listening, man, is this dude's intentional. He's organized. He knows his numbers on a next level compared to a lot of people, right? He's very intentional in everything he's doing in his life, and you can tell and that's why he's really succeeding at a super high level. So if you think about that, you're like, okay, how do I get more like that? Well, dude, you get intentional, you get organized, you know your numbers, like you get around him, you get in the room with him, you do whatever it takes.
Yeah, but that's overwhelming for a lot of people, just the thought of that. So let's break it down and make it real simple for you. The first thing you do is you go in and you pick the 3 things that make you the most money in your business, right? The 3 things, whether that's renewals, whether that's going out and meeting people, whether that's networking, whatever that is, you just pick the 3 things that make you the most money. And then you block off an hour, right, in a week for each of those 3 things. So I'm asking you to only be intentional for 3 hours.
Wow.
Be intentional for 3 hours. And during that hour, don't let anything interrupt you. Don't let anything get in your way. Focus on that one thing for that hour. Give it 60 minutes of your undivided attention. Because then you'll start to develop momentum. And as you develop momentum, you'll develop habits. Habits are a product of momentum. And people don't realize that. We don't just fall into a habit. We had to consistently do that for it to become a habit, which means it had to pick up momentum. Being lazy picks up momentum. Being a good worker picks up momentum. You know what I'm saying? Being good at a sport picks up momentum. So I'm trying to teach you how to get momentum first, which is block off the time, pick your 3 things, Work those 3 things consistently, pick up the momentum, and they'll become a habit.
Wow. This has been phenomenal. I mean, you have been, no question, one of the best interviews I've ever had. Phenomenal, actionable intel. There's no way this interview doesn't blow up. So I appreciate your time. I appreciate everything you're doing for the industry. You're inspiring a nation, and I'm loving watching the ride. I want to keep doing stuff with you, and I'm grateful that you spent about 30 minutes with us so far today.
Well, thank you. And again, hey guys, 8% was amazing.
Thanks, buddy.
Everything about it, the energy, everything, the way you put it together, absolutely amazing. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much, buddy. We're going to get you involved in that thing too. Okay. If you guys go out to, it was inspireanation.org, right?
Inspireanation.org.
Okay. Dr. Billy Williams doing amazing things. Glad we got him on the channel. And if you guys are listening, man, go check this dude out. Follow him. Continue to learn from him. He's doing amazing, incredible things. And we'll see you on the next interview. If you love this video, you know I got another one that you're going to love. I got a video just to your right here. Click on that. It's going to be amazing. You're going to love it. And I'll see you in there.
Because your goal when you get on the phone is what?
Yeah.
He said to book appointments. I said, my goal was to get people to pick up.
Yeah. Just talk to people.
And he was like, God. I'm like, you can't book them if they don't pick up.